Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dice Tower friends and family. Sure, we're all family, aren't we? Yes. It's another Dice Tower daily chat. So lovely to have you all here. I know that we all have been really enjoying these, all of the Dice Tower crew that have been doing these nightly chats. It's a great chance to get together with the friends of the Dice Tower and answer some questions and just chat with some lovely people. For example, my special guest tonight, Liz Davidson. What's happening, Liz?
Nothing. That's why I'm hanging out on this chat. No,
That's why you agreed to come on the show. Nothing's happening.
No, I'm actually having a super nice day. My cats are in their glory. I've been coming up with online lessons to teach for my students. I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing, and I might have gotten Mage Night off the shelf.
Yeah, so. Man, this Animal Crossing is a real phenomenon right now. I mean, obviously I'd heard of Animal Crossing before. I mean, I'm hip with the kids, I'm on the zeitgeist of the hip new thing. Everyone knows this. But I didn't realize quite how big Animal Crossing was until I got on social media, and everybody, it seems like, is playing this game. So,
yes.
What is it? You tell me. All right, you tell me. What is the massive appeal of Animal Crossing? What is it all about? Why are the kids going so crazy?
Well, Animal Crossing is a game about crushing debt that you'll never get out of.
Nice.
And the work of harvesting materials. No, it's so my brother and I have been playing it since probably what system did that first come out on? And I really liked it on my 3DS. So I actually had this game pre-ordered for months, and then I think that it's gotten extra big because it's an addictive game. And what else are we all going to do right now? But it's like it's kind of like a little life sim. Where in this one, you've moved to this deserted island and you start with a tent and you upgrade your house. You learn all these like DIY crafting tricks and you make your own furniture and you have weird neighbors that you talk to. And
so real life. So it's basically art imitating life is what you're telling me.
Kind of. But there's like a lot of fishing and catching bugs. And, I caught a marlin today off of the pier on my island. So that was really cool. And then last night I went on a mystery island tour, and I ended up in an island that was covered with bamboo and tarantulas. Well, I made it a tarantula island by cutting everything down and getting rid of all the flowers so other bugs would not spawn. And then I just caught tarantulas all night, and then I brought them back and sold them for like 8,000 bells a pop and paid off my mortgage.
Well, you sold me, Liz. Using tarantulas, harvesting tarantulas to pay off your debt. I mean, I can understand why it's all the rage with the kids. Well, Liz, we've got some fantastic people here in the chat as always, and we're already got a huge queue of questions. I'm going to make a bold statement here, Liz. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready for a bold statement.
Okay. My bold statement is we're going to have a lot of questions about solo gaming. What are your thoughts? You think I'm going out on a limb here? Okay.
Why would I know anything about solo gaming?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Here's our first question from Cora Lou. Cora Lou. Let me try to get this. Yeah, I can never decide, Liz, exactly the size of these, how large I want the text in these questions, but I'm going to go with this. I know you can't see it, but just go with me. It's the perfect size. The question is...
Bigger is better. Entirely.
Happy Wednesday. So happy Wednesday to you, Corlu. Isn't solo co-op game an oxymoron?
I mean, no, because any cooperative game can be solo because you're cooperating with yourself.
Okay.
I mean, it just means that it could be played by one person or by multiple people working towards the same goal.
Right. I mean, I get the question. I understand where it's coming from. Yeah. Maybe it's a little bit of... help me out here, Latin major. What's the word I'm searching for? It's forget it. I can't think of it. There's a language term I'm trying to hunt for, but Is it technically an oxymoron? Maybe, but like you said, pretty much
Maybe.
any co-op game. Although, aren't there some co-op games that have some type of hidden information that, I mean, Hanabi, you can't
Yeah.
play solo, you know?
No, or like the crew. No, that's
Right,
not going to happen solo. I
right.
mean, oh, I totally beat the crew the other day. I was playing it solo. I'm
What
really proud of
I was
myself.
gonna
I
say,
feel like a genius.
yeah, you beat it. You beat it, huh? Okay, got it. Through all 50 questions. So,
Man, you should have
Coraloo,
seen me play the mind solo. Wow.
yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty legit at the mine solo. I lose every time. Coraloo, yeah, I think you have a good question there, and yes, kind of, sorta. So let's see here. Already getting shout outs for Mage Night. Can we talk about Mage Night for a moment, Liz? Just for
I
a
can talk
moment.
about Mage Night all night,
Well,
Mike.
I'm aware. I'm aware. Dan and I had you on our podcast recently, and we talked a bit about Mage Night, so I don't want to rehash a lot of that. But I do. I want to kind of bring up this idea that I had about it, and you answered it really well. I thought maybe you can share that same idea here. I was concerned that maybe Mage Night was used primarily by solo gamers as a form of gatekeeping. Basically, this idea that if you don't like or haven't played Mage Night, then you're not a true solo gamer. Do you remember kind of how you responded to that? Because I thought it was a nice response. And if you don't remember, then I can try to paraphrase.
No, but I can BS something else right now. So first of all, I think you're a gamer if you game. Like,
Right,
if you have
that's what
Candy
you were
Crush on your
saying.
phone,
Mm-hmm.
you're a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
If you like to play Hearts or even, Spider Solitaire on your computer, guess what? You're a gamer. You might not want to label yourself that way, but you are. I'm kind of the opinion that everybody is a gamer in some way, shape, or form. We all like to play. But I think that Mage Knight is legitimately a good game, but I don't think that you have to own it, you have to have played it to be a solo player. I mean, there's so many different types of solo players. I'm also sitting here with preparing to review it, but Orchard.
Yeah,
it's cute.
It is cute.
It's tiny, and I consider that a perfectly legitimate solo game as well. I think that games are there for you, and you should play what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Mage Knight happens to make me happy, but it doesn't make you a lesser person if it's not for you. The whole point of having an accepting and diverse gaming community is that we should all be able to have something for us somewhere in the community. Hopefully a lot of things. I mean, I'm an Omni gamer, so I'm very happy all the time because I'll play anything.
Yeah.
That
was basically exactly what you answered on the podcast. So even though you didn't remember, you even used the Candy Crush thing. So you have a good memory. Okay, here's our next question. Daniel Hines Bond asks, what is the last game you guys played? So I'm going to look at my phone to remind myself. Do you remember the last game you played?
Yeah, it's literally Mage Night, and it was today.
Speaking of Mage Night.
Yeah, this is the perfect opportunity. I mean, it is a chunky game. And, okay, so the thing that's interesting about Mage Night, since you're looking, is that it's not that hard once you have already got a sense of the game flow. It's just that combat especially has a lot of little complexities. Do I have to move into this space to attack? How do I handle multiple enemies? Like, how do I calculate on my block? So it's got elements that I have to remind myself of, but, this is the perfect time to do that. Other than that, honestly, it's a fantasy game. You go around, you kill stuff, you level up. It's not beyond the ken of most gamers.
Okay.
It's just got likes combat.
All right. Well, I mean, it's fine. I'm sure it's good. I played, let's see, solo. The last one I played was this Pandorum here, which is Cosmodrome. There we go. Work the camera, Mike. It's the same developers that did Smartphone and Aquatica. And so I played that solo. I need to play it solo a couple more times. I want to review that one. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to fall on it yet. I do need to play it some more. Then I played Starcadia Quest a couple of times, which is Arcadia Quest in space. Basically, they do make some changes. But you want to know what the biggest surprise, the game that I absolutely expected to be not good at all and really, really, really enjoyed it, was Fallout Shelter. Fantasy Flight, Fallout Shelter, this little worker placement game that comes in a tin. It looks like an old school lunchbox. I'm telling you all that are watching
Oh,
this,
that's cool.
that game is legit. It's a really, really good, light worker placement game, but so much fun. It really is a really good game. So when that, I think that's coming out anytime now if it's not out already. Especially if you like the theme, the Fallout or Fallout Shelter more specifically theme, you really need to play that game because it is very good. All right. I'm going to scroll through some more questions. Bum, ba,
Do it.
I got a little bit of grief from Dan because apparently I was saying let's see here a lot. So I'm going to do my best not to say let's see here. Instead, I'm going to hum tunes that maybe don't exist.
Do
Okay.
it.
Ashley Kovalt asks, what made you guys decide to play games solo, to start playing games solo? You want to start with that one?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before, so sorry if you've heard me already. But so I actually ended up a solo gamer because I'd played some games in high school. I got back into playing games in grad school, and I really liked Magic the Gathering. But Magic the Gathering is really expensive and it's hard to keep up with. And so I was looking for something that gave me that deck construction feel, and I stumbled across the Lord of the Rings living card game. And I discovered that you could play it by yourself against the enemies. And so I got really into making decks and then testing them against all the different quests.
Okay.
And the solo gamer happened. Like it started to enjoy the challenge of playing with or without other people. So
okay,
that's where I got started.
I've also shared this story a number of times, but it is such a fascinating and compelling story, especially the way I tell it, that I'm sure everyone wants to hear it again. Basically, it was that I started to go deep into the hobby, as many of us do, and I started to buy a bunch of games that I didn't have the time or play group to play consistently, and I started to feel a sense of anxiety as I looked around me, and I was ever increasing shelves and they're looming over me, always looming. And so I started to get a little bit of anxiety about it. And I realized as I would look at these games, because that was what I was doing with them more than playing them at that point, that a lot of them had a solo variant. And I thought, well, I don't even know how that works. I legitimately had no idea how a solo game would work in these, type of modern board games. And so I don't remember what the first one was. I really wish I do, but I don't. I got one out. I read the rules. I'm like, oh, that actually sounds pretty cool. Started playing it. And that really just, it made me feel so much better about the collection that I had, because I knew that at least I would play them. Even if I couldn't get a group to play them, I knew that I would play them. So there you go,
right.
Ashley. Okay. Now this is I think this is an interesting question, and so therefore I'm going to put it up here on the screen. Robert Christ asks,
all right, I want to hear it.
What does it mean that a game doesn't have a good name? So I guess, in other words, I hope I'm not reading into Robert's question here, but what are the implications for games that don't have a good name? I have thoughts.
You mean like a good title or like a good reputation?
I'm gonna read this question as it's a good title, because to me that's a more interesting question.
Yes. So I think that a game that has a horrible title, although I do enjoy it sometimes, is The Game, in part because you can't search for it.
No,
it's so hard to find.
Mm-hmm. That is.
So how do you Google The Game, board game?
Yeah. I also think that there are issues when you use words that are either don't exist, you're making up a word because you think it sounds cool, and people don't have a frame of reference, and so they inevitably get it wrong. I know that there are certain prominent board game content creators that rhyme, maybe the name would rhyme with Vom Tassel, that struggle sometimes with these, names, even if they're real words like Teotihuacan. I'm not even convinced I said that correctly myself. But here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing with that, though, is I think that Board and Dice have kind of pulled a fast one on us all, because we talk about their games oftentimes, not only because they're good games, because generally I think that they are, but because of the names. It started with Tzolk'in, right? I mean, Tzolk'in was although that wasn't Board and Dice at that point. Same designer of some of their games. But anyway, regardless, you get my point. You talk about these games because the name is weird or odd to us. You know what I mean? So maybe that's a little bit of a they get a they.
Yeah, I also think I do think it's also bad to name your game something that's too generic.
Sure. I think that there's. I hope this. I don't mean this to sound crude because I don't mean it to be crude. There's too many colons in games. You know. Space Wars colon, the non-ending conflict colon, the dice game. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we get
right.
it.
Just yeah, I mean that's like
concise.
leave that to academia.
Right.
That's like a dissertation title. You know, my dissertation title was absolutely cute phrase colon, a very serious phrase about what I'm writing about.
Right. Scott Brown asks, Liz, you recently did a review on Tasty Humans. I really enjoyed the falling Tetris breaking apartment. Is there a game that is similar that's shorter?
Ooh, with the breaking apart, definitely not. I think what I'm looking for actually is a short Tetris game. And for me, still the fastest is I get through cartographers pretty quickly. But I'm still looking for the one that's really, really snappy. I feel like it's possible. But I'm on the hunt.
I unboxed this one. I haven't played it, so I don't know much about it. Is it? It kind of uses a polyomino type of a thing, or?
Yeah. So TC Humans is one of those games that I think I give it a 6. It's one of those games that I really wanted to love, but instead it was fine, which is actually how I feel about most games I play, to be honest with you. But you're a monster. You're trying to fill your stomach with human body parts as these adventurers come and get you. So there's these adventure cards you can pick, and they have different configurations. Like there's hands and boots and helmets, and they're in little Tetris-y shapes. And so you try to drop them into your stomach from the top, and then they break off if they hit formations at the bottom. You have to deal with all these like little individual tiles, which I'm pretty sure I complained about because I kept bumping people and knocking them off. But it's one of those games that is fun, except that there's just too many little steps. I wanted it to be snappier because I mean, when you think about Tetris, right? One of the things that makes Tetris so fun, and I think the board games has yet to totally replicate it, is that it's fast and it gets faster. That's part of the joy. So
yeah, I think the only polyomino game that I can think of that plays quickly, although it doesn't have this breaking thing, is the Lucky Duck implementation of the Jetpack Joyride, because I think that's pretty much timed, if I remember right. All right, let's see here. I am the type of host, Liz. I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn. But I look for questions that are being asked of the guest, and so I'm trying to find questions that are good for you. So here's one, but I really I'm going to do my best with the name. I hate messing up people's names because with a last name like Delicio, I am so sensitive to messing up people's names. Mithun. I almost don't want to even try the last name. Srinivasan? Liz, I have not tried any war games. What war game would you suggest for a solo gamer that's also good for 2 players?
Oh, for 2 players?
Solo and 2-player war game,
I actually play almost no 2-player games specifically because... So I have not played it, so I cannot give an actual recommendation for it. But I'm hearing good things about Blitzkrieg, which is a 2-player quickie war game that has a solo variant. I haven't played it, so I cannot actually personally attest to its greatness, but I'm hearing good things about that one. For a straight up 2-player game, I played a kind of entry-level deck-building war game that was so good that even though it didn't have a formal solo mode, I reviewed it anyway, and that is David Thompson's Undaunted Normandy.
That's getting a lot of buzz.
Is a game that really, it's great. It's so good. It really only has, it's really only got 2-player rules, but people do play it solo basically by playing both sides.
Yeah.
It's basically a game that people like so much that they're playing it that way. I don't personally like to solo that way, so I do not prefer it as a solo game.
Right.
But there's a large component of the solo community that really does and that plays it. And as a 2-player game, I'll play it anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I have an opportunity to play a 2-player game, I'm in for Undaunted already. So that's great.
You don't think that it's too daunting to play solo, or?
No.
Don't
You
answer.
remain
It was a
undaunted.
bad. It was just a bad. Just an excuse for a really stupid pun. All right. I hope that answers your question, Mithun. I haven't played either, although I really, really, really want to play Blitzkrieg. I've heard really good things, and I do like the designer Paolo Mori quite a bit. Meg Covington asks, Liz, what games would you recommend for classics nerds?
Ooh, for classics nerds. Well, that's always fun. For light war games, solo war games, I like Wars of Marcus Aurelius. I talk about that one a lot. I enjoy it thoroughly, and it is a game that's simple enough as a war game for somebody who just plays a lot of board games to pick up. The rulebook's really clear.
Right.
The mechanics will just remind you of any normal board game, which I think is a good thing, especially when you're kind of crossing over. But it's also got really great classical reference cards. Like there's one that just says, "Oh, Faustina," that's about Faustina thinking that Marcus Aurelius was dead, and then going off and finding a new man before she accidentally set off in a war because people thought Marcus Aurelius was dead, and people were like jockeying to be the next emperor. So it's got like lots of good historical touches. That one's really good. Agricola Master of Britain is an interesting little solo game, also from Hollandspiel. It's got like this cup mechanic where you're managing the loyalties and anger levels of various tribes in Britain. And so that's fun. If you want to go heavy, I think Pendragon's wonderful. And I want to do something on video with that one soon. And Falling Sky is about Caesar. Those are both coin games, though, so get ready for a ride.
Yep.
And, I'm actually about ready to try, so I can't actually recommend it yet, but I actually got the Ragnar Brothers, The Romans.
Oh, okay.
I want to say, if you don't want to play solo.
I think I've played at least one Ragnar Brothers game, but I can't remember. Oh, I think I played DR Congo.
Yeah, that's the one that I'd heard of from them before. And if you're not playing solo, if you want to play like a group game that is so trashy and delightful, I would go with Spartacus.
Oh, okay.
The Spartacus Blood and Sand Gladiator game. It is inappropriate and filthy and fun. Well, it's got a card that I won't talk about on Dice Tower.
Family friendly, keeping it classy here on the Dice Tower Network.
Classy and classy actually don't always go together. They're horrible things in the literature of the Greeks and Romans that I will not enlighten you on here because it is not family friendly.
Fair enough. All right. We're going to move on from that because I can't trust you, Liz. I just can't trust you. I'm kidding. All right.
Oh, come on. You talked to Dan.
This is a good point. Yeah, I had Dan on here. Honestly, if I was looking for caution with my guest, that ship sailed a long time ago. All right. Ross Updike asks, Mike, I thought I remembered seeing you say that Expedition Northwest Passage was your favorite solo game, but when you did the top 10 solo games on the Dice Tower, it was nowhere to be found. Do you hate it now? I hate it. No, I don't hate it. It's a great game. I want to look at my phone, so if you see me looking down, excuse me. First of all, that was one of the earliest solo games that I played. It's still in my collection. I still have a very soft spot in my heart for it. I do think that other games have done what it does a little bit better now, but I still rate it quite highly. Let me see if I've got my solo games list near to hand. Of course, when I'm looking for something, I can never find it. I will tell you it's number 22 on my top 40. If you watched my top 40, it was on that list at 22. On my solo list, I'm struggling to find where my solo list is. Unfortunately, yeah, I don't want Dead Air, but I still like it. It's not in my top 10 anymore, but it's still a fine game. It has a fantastic theme, and I think it's a very underrated game. All right.
Nice.
Nathan asks,
more question.
This is a little self-serving, but I'm not ashamed to be self-serving. Mike, do you plan to do any more solo playthrough videos? I miss them. Well, Nathan, thank you. I appreciate that. It's on hiatus. That's what I'm officially. I was actually talking to Liz about this before we went on air. I've been really kind of at sea about how to handle my solo mode games channel. Enough people still engage with the channel and watch the playthroughs that I have there that I do know that there's still a desire for solo playthroughs out there. There are a ton of people that do fantastic ones out there right now, so it's not like mine or anything special by any means. But I do enjoy doing them. The question is, am I going to try to transition to put some of those on the Dice Tower channel, or am I going to do the reviews on the Dice Tower and the playthroughs on my own channel? I don't know if can you hear that?
More game time? No kidding.
A very large aircraft just appeared above my head. Okay. Sorry. And so I don't know. I want to still do solo playthroughs. I just don't know exactly what form they'll take or where they'll show up. Okay. All right. We Game Together is here. All right. We can start now. This was all preliminaries. Now we're really, really, really getting started here. Let me go here. Oh, David, I don't know if you're asking this just to be cheeky. David Wugazer asks, have either of you played the solo game Coffee Roaster? What do you think of it? Hold on a second here. I'm not a big fan. And then I've got my Sashi version around here somewhere too. I adore Coffee Roaster. It's fantastic. It is charming. It is lovely in every way. Although I do prefer the Sashi version. Oh, here it is.
Oh yeah, I like the quirky Sashi art.
I want to get it. Sorry.
That's fine. So I have also played it. I have reviewed it on the Dice Tower. And I did a comparison actually between the two editions.
You did. Yeah, you did a comparison video.
Yeah.
I love me some Coffee Roaster. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I like Coffee Roaster.
Right. Yeah.
I think Warp's Edge is a better bag builder. I'm excited for that one to come out. That one just recently had a Kickstarter campaign. I got to try out the prototype. Oof, it was good. It was so good. That baby. Oh, give it to me. It was so good.
Still have to open it. You were saying that's better than Coffee Roaster.
Yeah.
Okay. You're saying that's better than Coffee Roaster.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm so dubious. Can you see the dubious? I'm dubious.
Hey, we can't all have perfect taste.
Well, this is true.
No, Coffee Roaster is a good game. I really do like it.
So good.
And I had the new version, but I ended up giving that to a friend to try to get somebody else addicted to gaming, and I still have my Sashi version.
Very nice. Okay. William Krotz asks, how can they improve the Automa in games? For people that aren't big solo gamers, the Automa it's become kind of a bit of a generic term for card-driven AI in games, where you will, generally speaking, have a deck of cards, flip over one of those cards, and it's going to usually give you either a series of actions that an AI opponent will take, or it might give you some branching things that could potentially happen. It's to some extent, would you say that it's almost like a very simplified spread, not a spreadsheet, but it's an order of operations. I think that's what I was struggling to come up with. So this was pioneered by the Automa factory that does a lot of the Stonemaier games. Morten Monrad Peterson kind of started that. There have been others that have come along, and it's probably not the first time there was a card-driven AI, but they kind of brought it into the popular, into the more popular modern games. So what are your thoughts?
So I think the one complaint that I consistently have about Automa decks is that they compete with you by racking up points very quickly and forcing you to keep up. And sometimes in games where there are more exploratory elements, it can interfere a little bit with the gaming experience. So I actually played all of Charterstone solo so that I could review it. And I was not the happiest camper because I felt like I didn't get to just open boxes and try stuff because you're so busy trying to keep up with the points.
Gotcha.
And so I understand why that is, right? Because you need to have something competitive.
Mhm.
Because solo gamers also, we like games that we are not necessarily going to win. There has to be a serious risk of losing.
Mhm.
It has to be challenging. But I don't know, because they ratchet up the points so quickly,
Mhm.
I wish there was a way to make it more possible to kind of enjoy the scenery as you go by. Other than that, I mean, I think they're really good. I mean, the Wingspan one I thought was perfectly good.
It's terrific. Yeah.
You really had to, you had to rush it, but it's an engine builder that made sense.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think I'm glad you put that kind of caveat in there, that especially in exploratory games or games that have an exploratory element, I think that I would agree with you there, is that you can't kind of go down that road. Sometimes in games that have an exploration element, even if it's a competitive game, you can almost meta as a group. You can almost determine. You can see if someone's trying to rush the end game, then you might have to do that, and you may not do as much exploration as you normally would. But if you can see that everyone is kind of doing their exploration, I think Near and Far is an example of that. You can kind of see if someone is trying to push through things, kind of get through those quests quicker. But in a solo game, you don't oftentimes have that luxury. So I don't know that I'm interested in playing Charterstone solo. I played through the whole campaign in a 3-player game, and I did enjoy it. I think I liked that game more than many people do. But I don't know that I ever really need to play that solo, even though I tend to think that the Automas do a good job. How can they improve? It's hard to say. I think that I do think that it would be nice if there was maybe, I don't even know. I was going to say it would be nice if there was more standardized iconography, but I don't even know if that's really realistic, because you're going to have different actions.
Games don't have standardized iconography.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So, okay. Gary S. asks, have either of you played Parks solo? Does the solo mode work well? I have played Parks many times, but I have not played it solo. Have you, Liz, I hope?
You know what? I have not played it at all, and I really want to, because all I hear are nice things. It's supposed to be a really delightful game. It looks gorgeous. The production values look off the chart. So it's on the list of things to do. But
yeah, it is lovely. It is a lovely, light game where it kind of has that mechanic of you're going forward on a path, and you can go as far up as you want. You can pretty much jump to whatever space you want, but you can't go backwards, and whoever's in last place goes next. So, Tokaido does that. Francis Drake does that. There's a lot of games that do that. It's a great mechanic. You know what I mean? It really is, because sometimes you feel like, okay, if I have to wait to my next turn to get that spot, someone's going to take it. So I'm going to jump ahead, but I'm giving up all of these. It's a great little tension mechanic. But I haven't played it solo yet. I've heard good things. I have a couple of friends of mine that have played it solo and play it solo quite a bit and have liked it. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I haven't heard a bad word said about Parks, so I'm curious.
Yes. I'm going to ask this question, although I can't answer it, Liz. Maybe you can. Nick Wagner asks,
okay.
Are there any notable differences in the two Metro X versions? I really want to grab it and wonder how similar the U.S. print is to the Japanese print. I believe Game Right. I believe Game Right.
So, yeah, somebody picked it up over here. I've seen an image. The version of the game that I have is the Japanese version.
Correct.
I like it because it really does look like a subway map, and I feel like if you dropped me in Tokyo or Osaka at this point, I would be like,
I'm looking to see
at
if
least I know
it's
how
near
this metro is shaped.
Right.
I will magically know my way around the city. Not really. But I think that aesthetically, I'm going to prefer the Japanese version based on just images that I've seen. However, the gameplay is really where it's at, and as long as the gameplay is preserved, I'm in. If it's got different maps, I'd actually be interested to see that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I don't know if they have different maps. I do know that the box is larger, significantly larger, because the original box is tiny.
Tiny, yeah.
To fit a lot of the Japanese aesthetic, it's a small box. I do know that they put it in a much larger box here. I also believe, Liz, that it's dry erase here.
Yeah.
I
The
think
weird
what
little pencils in the original Metrox are hilarious,
they're
though.
great. Yeah, they're about the size of your fingertip. No, they're not. They're thin. They're the super thin ones, right?
No, they're like those really thin ones, and they have that kind of scoop at the end instead of it. They're very interesting.
Right.
I actually laminated some of mine, so I played dry erase already.
Right. Nick, I would say don't pay extra, especially if it's significantly extra for the Japanese version. Just get the one that's easy to get. And I don't hate the idea of it being dry erase, actually.
No, and if it's got other maps, I'd be really curious too.
Yeah, now there was an expansion for the Japanese.
Yes, there is an expansion
that had another couple of maps. Dave Conline, sure. I'm feeling confident about that, Liz. Dave Conline. Do either of you have a preferred player color? Indeed, I do. All right, next question. No, I'm just kidding. What's your preferred player color?
Honestly, it actually depends on the game because some games have richer colors in different sections than others. Like sometimes I like to play purple because it's like a really nice rich purple, but sometimes it just doesn't look as good. So I'd rather play blue. I'm pretty flexible.
So, do you have a bias against lilac? Is that what I'm hearing right now? Is that you are anti-lilac? Well, are you willing to go on the record right now in front of everybody and announce that you are anti-lilac?
If it's my game pieces that represent my power on the board, I want an Imperial Roman purple.
Okay, fair enough. It's interesting because my preferred color would also be purple, and then I came to work for Tom Vassell. And that means I will never play purple again if he's anywhere to be found. So my secondary choice would be blue. I think I like the cooler hues, so to speak. Gator Dave asks, what is your favorite part of attending a gaming convention? Meeting old friends, playing new games, just getting away, etc. Liz, what do you got? What's your favorite part of attending a gaming convention?
The first gaming convention I went to, it was playing new games. But every other gaming convention after that has been meeting old friends. Because, once you get to know people in the gaming community and you have people to play with, it's such a magical thing to get to meet up with people that you never get to see, or I see you on Skype, but we very rarely get to hang out in person.
Yeah.
And, that part is really, really special. And feeling like you're part of a group of people who get you in ways that the people who maybe live right by you don't is a really magical thing. I love hanging out with other gamers.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to play solo. I do also like to play multiplayer. However, I'm a varied person. But I love going to cons and seeing people because, I feel like I have made friendships online and got to know people who understand a part of my personality and my life that my coworkers and family don't.
Yeah.
And it's a nice thing.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I also went through a bit of a progression on what cons meant to me and what aspects of them appealed to me. Starting off, it was the games, getting excited about the games. It was also about kind of feeling the community. It's a niche hobby, although it's getting more and more widespread every day, it seems. But when you go to something, especially some of the larger ones like Gen Con, you see the sea of people that have something in common with you that on a regular daily basis, people have no idea what you're talking about. And so there's something very powerful about being in that space with a lot of other people who share a love and a passion for something that's maybe a little out of the mainstream. And so that actually is still exciting, if I'm honest. But as the years have gone on, it's more and more about the community, meeting the people, meeting people that maybe you've only met online or you may only see once or twice a year. That's really, really special. Okay. Darren Rhodes asks, Mike, where is your green screen behind you with fancy dice images? Now, Liz, Did you didn't watch last night? Did you was it
No.
last night? 2 nights ago, maybe. No, yeah, I can't remember. Last night, I think, with Roy. Roy has a very fancy image behind him of all the dice animals, right? And so I may or may not have gotten on the chat and asked him how might somebody go about doing this, and he mentioned that it was a green screen. And so then I heard through the grapevine that maybe the head of the Dice Tower Network thinks that maybe that's not a good look. And so I'm perfectly happy with my off, kind of jauntily askew gaming. You can get just a sense for what's going on over here, right? It's just a little bit. You can kind of see. You can maybe but there's a whole lot more over that way. And you know, so I'm
it's just a hint at all the magic of your apartment.
I'm trying to build some anticipation for people to wonder what could be there. All right, so no green screen for me.
Yeah, y'all can enjoy my blank apartment wall. Honestly, so I need to do a better filming setup, but the thing is that this is the tiny spare bedroom that is actually my office in my apartment, and I do what I can with the space, but I've already taken up most of the floor with my giant gaming table, and that's my priority.
Yeah. So, hey, look.
Yeah, I actually have one of those gate that gate leg table you can get from IKEA that folds down and something really tiny. I just leave it up most of the time, and then if somebody comes over and I have to let people in my space, I put the table down.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so this question was very likely to get asked because the person who asked it is named themselves Fugazi Gamer. And Fugazi, everybody knows, is one of the preeminent Washington, D.C. punk bands of all times. One of my favorite bands of all times. I don't know if that's where he or she is getting the name, but I love Fugazi, so I'm going to ask this question. It's a good question anyway, Liz, so we got a bonus there. Do you sometimes pass on buying a game with no solo mode?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, most of the time. Yeah.
It's always, I'll say this, it's always a consideration. It's always, I will buy games that don't have a solo mode. Clearly, I've got a number of games that don't. But I am much more likely, if I'm on the fence, to buy a game if it has a solo variant. It's always a consideration. And I would say that it matters more on Kickstarter than it does in retail. I don't know why that is. Because unfortunately, a lot of times Kickstarter is putting out solo modes that are not good. Not good. Also, they're putting them in as stretch goal.
Yeah, it has a solo mode.
Yeah.
What is this, like the Jurassic Park of solo modes? Just because you could put on a solo mode does not mean that you should.
Right. Can I also put out a plea, Liz? I don't know if you're with me on this. Can I put out a plea to the publishers? Stop putting solo modes as stretch goals.
It makes me feel like such a throwaway. Either have it or don't.
You're going to make people think that this was not something that was considered, that was well tested, well designed. We're going to assume that it was thrown in at the last minute and half baked. If you have a good solo mode and you're proud of it, and the game has been designed with that in mind from the beginning, put it in there as part of the game. If you want to charge more for the extra components, I don't even have an issue with that. I know some solo gamers do. I don't. I'd rather have a good one I'm paying for it. But don't put it as a stretch goal because people are gonna be skeptical. All right. Getting off my high horse.
The other reason solo limits my buys is that honestly, I love games so much. I really got to limit what I buy somehow. Just having an easy does it have a solo mode? Nope. That's probably saving me a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Nathaniel McInnes, what game would you recommend for a first-time solo gamer? This is a popular question. A lot of people are wanting to know this because there's a lot of people that are thinking about dabbling. Especially now with people kind of spending more time kind of solitary. They may have more options to play some solo games.
Yeah. So I guess there's two sub questions that always go with that. One is, what kind of gamer are you already? Because there are solo games that will satisfy that part of yourself. Right. And two, do you have any cooperative games already on the shelf?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you already have a lot of solo games or games with solo modes hanging out, and if you already bought that game because you liked it, maybe that's a good solo mode for you to try because you already know that you're attracted to that game and that subject matter, if that makes sense.
Right.
So like if you have Aeon's End, you can just run a couple of mages and try it solo, even if you were playing it with your friends before. Or, you don't have to buy solo specific games. You could probably dabble within your own collection. I mean, if you're a serious enough gamer that you're watching a Dice Tower live chat at 9:45 p.m. Eastern time, you probably already have a significant game collection, which means you probably already have a good solo choice sitting right there on your shelf, just waiting for you to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I'm not going to expound on that. A, because it's a fantastic answer, and B, because if you saw the look of horror and shock on my face, it's because I started to see how many questions we're not even close to answering.
Oh, no.
Which is fantastic. Thank you all for being an amazing chat group, as always, and having so many great questions. I am going to bring up, Liz, we have a very illustrious... Well, look, I don't want to call it... Everybody in this group is illustrious. Everybody who's here is special.
Absolutely.
But not everybody in here has created some of the most fantastic and splendid art in board games in the last 5 years. Ian O'Toole has a question.
Ian O'Toole?
Yeah, for you, Liz. The question is, Liz, what are the top 5 things that you admire about Mike? No, that's not the question. The question is, have you played any of DMG's Field Commander series?
Oh, yeah, Dan Verson's Field Commander series. Yes, I have played Field Commander Alexander. The only reason I haven't run a review for that yet is that I've done a lot of DBG games recently, and I've just kind of like to space them out. But I think Field Commander Alexander is really fun, and I actually would really like to try Rommel or Napoleon. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I have played one of the Field Commander games. I enjoy it, and I am looking for more.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. Ian knew better than to ask me, because it's not in my wheelhouse. But Ian, I think I can speak for many of us when I say keep doing what you do, because you do you very well. You do some great art.
Yes, please keep my games easy on the ice.
Okay. Oh, we have a lot of people. Just show you how far behind. I'm seeing a lot of colors. Green, pink, yellow. Ambi likes blue. Sing with me, Liz. Da, 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 da.
Oh, nobody needs that. Everyone's eardrums will burst.
Okay. Franz Schubert asks, do you prefer to play in a group where you know everybody well, or where everybody is quite uncommon, as at conventions? I'm going to answer you honestly, Franz, rather than make myself look good. I'm working on this. I legitimately am, especially in my role at the Dice Tower. I feel like it's vitally important that I get more comfortable at places like conventions, or even at game days, interacting with people that I'm not familiar with. I think that's a very important thing to do, and I think it's good for me as well as a good thing to do. My comfort level is such that I would rather play with people I know. It's just, that's me. That's not everybody. I don't want to speak for other people, but I think even Tom has mentioned, he's fantastic at that. I mean, he will legitimately just sit down and play with people. He has no qualms about that at all. And it's not that I dislike it. It's just I have to gear myself up. I really do. It's something that I still feel a bit of social anxiety sometimes. And so I'm getting better, though. I'm working on it. Liz, what about you?
Once I'm in a game, I'll probably enjoy it no matter who I'm playing with. I do experience a little bit of anxiety about asking to play with people or looking for a game. I think a lot of people experience that, though. One thing I will say is, again, like, I'm an omni gamer and I like lots of novel experiences. So I really enjoy just playing with people at cons. But you know what? I really miss my game group. I had like a doctor's appointment and like another thing, and I'd missed a couple of game nights, and then this happened. And so it's been extra long since I got to play with them. And there's something so nice and familiar and just great about showing up at my local game store and knowing everyone there and knowing that I can get a game in with somebody that it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's just such a good experience. I will also say, though, that it took me a long time to fully settle into that group. And I think one of the hardest things about gaming with others, as opposed to just, I like myself most of the time. It's okay.
Yeah.
But, getting used to being in a group of gamers, it takes a long time to really adjust. I moved to Georgia and I wanted a game group, and I felt socially isolated because I was new to the area and I didn't know anybody super well. Like, those relationships take time to form.
Sure.
And I really treasure them when they do, because it is not easy to find a group that you can just play with, and then you walk up and everyone's like, "Hey, Liz, you're here," and like you sit down. Like, that's not a common, like, I have a YouTube channel about board games, and maybe you would think that it's easier for me to navigate around a con. And it is when I'm with somebody else that I already know.
Sure.
But if I'm just kind of soloing it around a convention looking for a game to play, it's just as hard for me as it is for anybody else. Yeah. But I really like it when I do get started on a game and meet somebody new, because then you see him on the hallway later and you have somebody to wave at. It's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of those benefits we talked about going to conventions. We have a question from the Board Game Barrage podcast. Now, I don't know if this is from all three. Four. I'm gonna include Christina as part of the Board Game Barrage podcast. I'm a fan of this podcast. If you have not heard Board Game Barrage, I recommend you do so. Do you have any comfort games that you return to in times like this? Things easy to get the table or just comforting? So, when maybe you're going through some stress, I think a lot of us are dealing with maybe a little bit of stress or anxiety. And are there any games that just kind of make you feel good, that kind of give you that mellowness?
Ooh. So I just took Mage Night out as a comfort game, which is what we're talking about. So it's not mellow, but it's familiar. Yeah. It's like going through old moves that you know and that you like, and once you start swimming in those waters, it's like, this is why I like this so much. I'm happy. Yeah. And on the lighter side, I just went back to the Oniverse series, and it was so nice to revisit a bunch of those games. It had a lot of nostalgia value because those were some of the first solo games that I bought, the early ones in the series. And getting back and having that playing something and that you like, feels so good.
It does.
It's so good.
I keep looking around me because there's games I'm going to talk about, and I was going to show them, but I don't have it. So keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mentioned this game in a podcast last night. Sometimes the games that I just want to play are not necessarily the hotness. But I pulled out Cards of Cthulhu again recently, and I just really like that game. Yeah. That's a Dan Verson game that's no longer in print, sadly, but it's just this really chill game about trying to manage things so that the world doesn't end,
Right, just a nice, calm, serene, Cthulhu madness.
Old one wakes up.
Yeah.
Oops.
For me, the game I was looking to find.
Gentle ride into insanity.
I'm still, believe it or not, I'm still unpacking some of my stuff, so I don't have them all here. But the game that kind of is my comfort game, that I just, because it's almost it's meditative. It's based off of the solitaire game Patience. It's called SOS Titanic. It's
never had to play that.
Yeah, it's a Bruno Cathala, and he has a co-designer, Ludovic Mablanc, I think. And it's basically Patience with special powers. You could play it solo or co-op. I've only played it solo. It really is a solo game. And it's great. It's meditative. It's lovely. It's about this fantastic theme of the Titanic sinking. And so if that can't put you in a good mood, then I don't know what will. So there you go. SOS Titanic. I have no idea. I can't defend that answer. Look at all this love for Fugazi. Yes. All right. Kevin Galbraith asks, of mechanics that have been used in solo mode games, which ones do you feel work the best and the worst? For me, I think worker placement is very easy to replicate in a solo game because you can replicate blocking spaces pretty easily. Worst, I don't think you can really pull off negotiation in a solo game. I don't know
No.
that you can pull
Anything
off.
in auctioning?
Yeah,
Just, ugh.
yeah. I don't know that you. I think there have been some that have tried doing auctions in a solo variant, and
Yeah.
I can't think of one offhand that does it well. I think those would be
No, I mean,
tough.
I actually, my bias, I hate auction games. I do not like to bid.
Oh,
It
I
makes me
love
anxious.
auction games, man. Oh, I love it.
I'm also not a big gambler. Like,
Mm.
I've gambled one time with actual money because my dad made me at a casino.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Look, here's $20. Go play video poker." And I was like, "Okay." I got up to $75. I was like, "I'm done now." And then we went. I bought my dad a steak, and then I've never gambled again.
Hey, I lived
But
in Las Vegas for a while. I think I told you that, and I was never a big gambler. I always considered, if I was going to gamble, I considered it like going out for a night for dinner and a
yeah,
movie. I would just say, hey, I'm going out with $40. And if I
right.
lose that $40 in 10 minutes, then I didn't have a very entertaining evening. But I never expected to even break even. If you break even and you've been out for 2 hours, 3 hours, then that to me is a win. So I'm not a
Yeah.
big gambler.
No. Although, you know what? My mom is terrifyingly good at poker.
Really?
So my mom is awesome. She is much more glamorous than I am. You know, she pays a lot of attention to her makeup. She has great hair, and she, just she's a clothes horse. She just really has it together.
Mm.
And she also, because she likes to dye her hair blonde a lot, she'll go sit at a poker table. She's like, "Oh, hee hee," her
Mm-hmm.
nails look great. Everybody
Right.
just assumes that she doesn't know what she's doing. Watch out. My mom's a shark. Like, she's a former reporter. She's a great way of getting information out of people, and they don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched her get people to say things that I knew the better than she did. Like, they never even said anything to me.
Right.
Or it was something that they'd been private about. She'll just get you talking about it. But I didn't inherit that.
All right. Well, this is interesting because I'm going to give you, we don't even have to address this, Liz, because it's been asked and answered. The board game barrage people, again, they're starting to wear out their welcome.
Are they barraging us with questions?
They are barraging us with these. Who would win in a game of chess, Mike or Liz? And then the answer was already answered here by Daniel Absher. The answer is Liz. Mike is tactical, and Liz is just better. So, yes, asked and answered. I'm not going to argue with that, honestly. I am a tactical gamer, and I never pretended to be terribly smart. Okay, so let's see here.
I will admit, I'm not a great chess player. I can play it.
You want to?
I actually have a.
You want to play? I'll bet
really
you $10, $20, $20. Let's play. $20.
Nope.
Gamble.
No bets. No
Gamble.
Bets.
Okay. All right. Let's see here.
But yeah, actually, one of my prized possessions is a chess set that my grandfather made.
Oh, really? What did he make it out of?
Yeah, wood. Like, he's a woodworker. So he taught me how to play chess when I was 8-ish. I spent the summer at my grandparents' house. My grandfather played me at chess every night for a month. And he wiped the floor with me so bad. And I love him. He's so smart. But let's just say that I'm the one who definitely should have grown up to be a teacher, because he felt that I would just learn from my pain and like my endless drubbings. I think I beat him once all summer, and I was supposed to feel happy about it, but it was actually just an endlessly frustrating set of nights.
Wow.
But it's cool that he made me this chess set, and he gave me the pieces that he taught me to play with.
Oh,
They're
that's
these like
awesome.
really cool pieces from Europe that I really love. And I played him to break in the chessboard, and I just whooped him, and I felt really depressed about it.
Yeah.
Because I had remembered him being this terrifying opponent.
Right.
In my youth, right? And then we played, and it was a totally different experience of playing, and I was sad.
Yeah.
Because what are you supposed to do when the person who's smarter than anybody can't wipe the floor with you anymore?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that is something that we all, one way or another, we come across this idea of people that you hold up in this tremendous esteem that no one can live up to, right? You when you come to find that, oh, maybe these people aren't invincible. So we have a lot of people, a shocking number of people, I might add, who are backing you up about not particularly liking auction games. Tisk, 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 I say. Okay.
I should have been like, people agree with me. You want to bet? Aha, no kidding.
We've got S-ROM. What are your favorite solo dungeon crawl games? Hopefully without an app. Let's see. I'm going to put my unheralded, the one that I always kind of speak up for because I think that it doesn't get enough love, and that's Masmorra, Dungeons of Arcadia. I really, really like that game. I think it got a bad rap when it came out. I think that it, as a result, fell like a stone, and you could probably get it for a song right now, and if you can, you should, because I think it's a really solid game, especially solo co-op. I don't like it as much competitively because it's a little too... it's just a little too take thatty. But as a solo cooperative dungeon crawl game, I like it a lot. I like Alter Quest, although that hasn't been released yet. So, but for a very different reason. That's on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Liz?
Oh, I'm super pumped for Alter Quest. I demoed that and I really liked it. Mm-hmm. So I think that will end up making my shortlist.
Okay.
You know what? I really like Dungeon Alliance. I feel like nobody talks about it anymore, but I really, really like that game. You're controlling a bunch of heroes out of one deck of cards, so it's a really interesting deck builder where you have to pay attention to the balance of cards you're pulling into your hand.
Yeah.
And you have these heroes that have interesting different powers, interesting little tactical decisions that you make against enemies. I really like it. It's a thinkier, less like go kill things and get treasure, more optimization kind of dungeon crawl, but I like it a lot. And I don't know if is it a dungeon crawl since you're not in a dungeon, you're like going across the land, but I really enjoy Hexplore It. That's a cool game.
Who was talking about Jeremy, I think, was talking about Hexplore It, Howard, when he came down to do a top 10. I think he may have been talking about that. I haven't played it.
It is a very interesting game. You're like a whole party in one figure moving around the board, but like you play on these interesting little dry erase boards where you track a bunch of different stats about yourself and things that you can do and food that you have. It was a very interesting playing experience.
Yeah.
It might not be an enduring favorite, but it was memorable. And I feel like a lot of dungeon crawls aren't always super memorable. It's easy for them to get samey.
Sure.
To me.
Well, they're almost, that's almost in their design, right? I mean, it's almost like a constant grind where, that's almost part of the genre, right? Yeah. But
what that means is that my favorites end up being the ones that stand out a little bit.
Yeah, that don't follow that same formula. Got it. All right. Well, we're running close on time here, Liz. We can go maybe a couple minutes. I mean, we're already a couple minutes over. You're doing all right?
Oh, what am I going to do? Wake up and go to work tomorrow?
You're going to gamble, Liz. We all know. You're going to go and gamble. You're going to do that gambling chess thing that you're trying to pretend you're not all into. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to wake up and post Latin assignments for children who will wake up hours after I do.
Somebody said the obvious pick would be Gloomhaven. Sure, for a lot of people. Yeah. Not for me, but for a lot of people. I've gone on and on about Gloomhaven just not really working for me. Okay, a lot of talk about auction games. All right,
we said something off with that one.
Yeah, we really did. I'm trying to find a good last question. I agree with Rick Thompson. This hour flew by. It absolutely did. Let me find one last question, Liz. You haven't played Chai, right?
No, I've not. It looks gorgeous, though.
Yeah, I won't use that one then. Samuel Taneus.
All right.
Have I and you're going to know why I'm asking this question. Have either of you painted minis? Do you enjoy it? The reason why I chose this question to end on was that we had Liz on the podcast recently, and we had people ask questions. And for some reason, they asked a whole bunch of questions about painting minis, and neither Liz nor I we don't really paint minis. And so we were wondering, why were all these questions about painting minis? Dan does, but we don't. So I kind of gave it away. But no, it's not for a lack of... This is totally a fear thing for me. For some reason, I've got a bit of a mental block about wanting to take the plunge. I'm sure I can do it, even though as I get older, my eyes get increasingly worse and worse. And I do worry about being able to have, I know I could wear glasses in the whole 9 yards, but I'm not sure that my vanity will let that happen. But I'm afraid to go down that rabbit hole because I'm thinking I've got all of these games here that I would love to have painted minis. And it's like, okay, if I really start this process and I get to the point where I feel like I'm proficient enough that I can do it, I'm going to want to paint every mini I've got. And I don't have that kind of time or money. So I'm almost like, I'm going to back away slowly from the Citadel paint section. I don't know about you, Liz.
Yeah, so it's not that I don't want to paint minis because I think I would actually enjoy it. It's more that I already have so little time. I'm already not playing as many games as I want to play. I want to read books. I want to play games on my Switch. Like, I already have so many uses for my spare time that I don't know if I can handle another time and money suck right now.
Yeah.
And so instead, my apartment is full of sad, gray minis that, you know, would really have been better as standees if we're being super honest about it.
It's true.
And it's again, it's not that I'm against it. It's just that I have to choose how I'm going to spend my time. I already never have enough.
Right.
And I am, however, going to have to learn how to glue them together.
Yeah. Well.
Because
for the ones that you have to.
Kingdom Death Monster that's mocking me. I have to put the minis together before I can play this game, and it's a major block for me. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to figure out how to clip things off of sprues and like put stuff together. And I really want to do this, but oh god, this game was so expensive. This is gonna be bad.
Yeah, you add building minis into the mix, and I'm not even at that point. I'm not even interested. That's not for me.
Yeah. So I admit one of the things that is keeping me from playing. Is those pictures.
Well, look, there's a lot of games out there. All right, well, this has been lovely, Liz. It's always great to talk to you. It's been nice to get together and get a good excuse to chew the fat a little bit. And thank you to this amazing, wonderful chat. We've got a couple hundred people here that are watching us now, and just so many great questions. I've really enjoyed doing these daily chats, and hope everyone has enjoyed watching them. I know that we've got Tom coming back, and Z's going to be doing them, and Roy's going to be doing them, and sometimes we'll have guests, sometimes we may not, but it's been just a great experience, and hopefully you had a good time, Liz.
I did. Thank y'all all so much for showing up and listening to us just hang out. And Mike, it's always really good to hang out with you. And this is just a delightful way to spend an hour of my evening. So thanks for inviting me.
Indeed. I don't think I can end it any better than that. So I will just say goodbye to you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Happy game.